All right, welcome to Peak Pilot 360. Let's get straight into it. You're in a technical interview. The captain across the table leans forward and asks, as your aircraft burns fuel, its mass decreases, allowing for a step climb. Explain the primary aerodynamic reason why a lighter aircraft has a higher optimum altitude. It's a tough question. It links weight, efficiency, and aerodynamics. Think about it. We're going to come back to it, and I'll give you the perfect answer at the very end of this session. So why do they ask questions like that? Because they're testing your fundamental understanding of aircraft performance. It all starts with identifying the aircraft's single greatest adversary, the one force we are constantly fighting on every single flight. And that adversary is, of course, drag. It's a constant battle of physics. On one side, you have the thrust from your engines pushing you forward, and on the other, the relentless resistance of the air pushing back. Mastering this balance is the core of what we do. This is the golden rule, the first principle. For unaccelerated, level flight, thrust must equal drag. If thrust is greater, you accelerate or climb. If drag is greater, you slow down or descend. Simple as that. Every performance calculation you ever make comes back to this one basic law. Now let's apply this to the climb phase. This is one of the most demanding parts of the flight, and it's not just about firewalling the thrust levers. It's really a sophisticated game of energy management. Think of your aircraft's total energy as a finite resource. You can spend this energy in two ways. You can increase your speed, that's kinetic energy, or you can increase your altitude, that's potential energy. The key point is you can't have an unlimited amount of both. There's always a trade-off. And this is that trade-off in action. An interviewer might ask you, why might your FMS command a reduced rate of climb even with climb thrust set? The answer is right here. To maintain a specific climb speed, or TAS, the aircraft might have to trade potential energy for kinetic energy, which means sacrificing some of your climb rate. Conversely, to get the best rate of climb, you might have to give up some airspeed. It's a constant balancing act. Okay, so once we're at our cruise altitude, the mission changes completely. It's no longer about gaining height. Now it's all about endurance, about maximizing efficiency, and stretching every kilogram of fuel as far as it can possibly take us. And the key metric for this is specific range, or SR. Simply put, it's nautical miles per unit of fuel. For the airline, this is everything. A higher specific range means a more efficient and profitable operation. This is the number we're always trying to maximize. So how do we maximize it? Well, the formula for specific range is a balance of three critical factors. You've got your engine efficiency, your overall aerodynamic performance, basically your lift-to-drag ratio, and of course, the aircraft's weight. So if you want to improve your SR, you've only got three levers to pull. You can improve your lift-to-drag ratio, which means flying at the optimum speed and altitude. You can reduce the aircraft's mass, or you can have more efficient engines with a lower specific fuel consumption. That's it. Those are your only options. And this leads to a really interesting point, which this graph shows perfectly. As the flight goes on, you're burning fuel, so the aircraft is getting lighter. As the mass decreases, your specific range actually increases. The aircraft literally becomes more fuel efficient the longer it flies. This is the very reason we perform step climbs. Now let's talk about how we manage speed. It's not as simple as holding one number from takeoff to landing. There's a critical transition point that every pilot needs to understand inside and out. Let's treat this chart like a whiteboard. Down low, in dense air, we climb at a constant calibrated airspeed, or CAS. This protects us from exceeding our structural speed limit, VMO. But as we climb, the air gets thinner. To maintain that same CAS, our true airspeed has to increase, and we get closer and closer to our critical Mach number, or M-mole. At a certain point, the CAS we are flying will equal our climb Mach number. This is the crossover altitude. Above this point, we switch our reference and fly a constant Mach number. This ensures both structural protection and a safe margin from the high-altitude stall buffet boundary. You must understand this relationship. All right, let's shift gears to some exam tips using weather as our framework. You can have all the theory down, but interviewers want to see that you can apply it to real-world threats. They want to see your airmanship. Here's a classic trap, the cold soak effect. Your aircraft has been sitting at -50 Celsius for hours. The fuel in the wings is now a massive frozen block. You land, and the outside air temperature is, say, +5 degrees. A common mistake in an interview is to think there's no icing risk. That's a red flag. The wing's surface itself is well below freezing, and any moisture can form ice instantly. And we're talking about clear ice. This is the most dangerous kind because it's almost impossible to see, but it can disrupt the airflow over the wing just as much as thick rime ice. The examiner is testing your threat awareness. They want to know you're thinking beyond the obvious. This leads to another tip. Know your procedures. They might show you a table like this and ask you to explain it. A weak answer is, we de-ice when it's cold. A strong answer is precise. In these conditions, according to the table, we would require a heated 75-25 mixture of type 2 fluid to ensure clean surfaces for takeoff. That shows you don't just know the what, you know the how and the why. And finally, always think in terms of performance penalties. They love to ask about hot and high conditions. Why? Because it connects physics to safety. Less dense air means less engine thrust and less lift from the wings. The consequence? A longer takeoff roll and reduced climb performance. They want to see you connect those dots and explain the operational impact. So let's bring it all together. The entire flight is a dynamic management of energy. It's a constant trade-off, a balancing act. Your job is to understand these forces so you can manage them safely and efficiently. That's what they're looking for.
Okay, so back to our opening question, why does a lighter aircraft have a higher optimum altitude? Here's your answer. The optimum altitude is where you get the best lift-to-drag ratio. As the aircraft's weight decreases, the amount of lift required to balance that weight also decreases. This allows the aircraft to fly at a higher altitude where the air is thinner and drag is lower, achieving a more efficient lift-to-drag ratio for that new, lighter weight. That's the kind of deep, connected answer that will get you the job. Next time, we're going to tackle high-altitude aerodynamics and the coffin corner. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss it. Study hard, fly safe, go get that job. And remember, this is for training purposes only. Always follow your company SOPs and manuals.